10,
Mm-hmm.
that means you need to have already closed them down by 20, and then you're going to
Come
take a
back.
break. And at 10
Yeah,
is when you start the break.
right.
Not scoring, because a lot of people let it rush it and then you're stuck with a dead air.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yep.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, you're listening to Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM102jams.com. Listen, we got a dope show in the building. I got to say, man, it's going to be great. I suggest please tune in, share this with your family, with your friends, or what have you. For those of y'all that are going through marital issues or have had marital issues and you're looking to fix some of your problems, or at least advice on, how you can get your problems fixed. We got a special guest with one of God's special children, who's definitely blessed and highly favored, as he always says. So definitely, we're talking about marriages and blended families and children and all that nature today. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Pastor Jerry Q. Parris. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. And thank you very much for coming down to do my podcast with me.
I'm honored.
Absolutely. Now, he is the author of the book called The Making of a Blended Family, the New Norm for the Traditional Family. And I want to first start with my first question was, what inspired you to go ahead and write the book?
What inspired me was my own blended family. Me and my wife came together. I had 2 children from a previous marriage. She had 2 children from a previous marriage. And we came together, I like to say, it was not 2 people coming together, but 2 histories colliding. And there was not any information of how to blend those families together. And we didn't even know it was called blended families. And we had a lot of challenges when we first came together. There were some things that her children, she has a daughter, Jamise, that was incredible. She has a son, Ryan. I had a son, Jason, 2 sons, Jason and Justin. And there was a lot of dynamics by us just coming together. Before one word was spoken, there were some dynamics that came into play that if you're not aware of those dynamics, it could be a challenge for a marriage at the very beginning. While you're standing in front of the preacher, challenges are already taking place. That girl that's in that daughter has a daddy's heart. So she is already connected to her father. So therefore, she feels that she is possibly betraying him by loving you. And so even at the very beginning, she, depending on how young they are, she has to navigate through that with her own personal biological father before she can release any love to you. And if you don't know that coming in, you're thinking that this girl got a horrible attitude, but it's not that. She's protecting her spot in her heart for her father.
Okay. Now, I happened to listen to a show earlier today, and I'm glad you brought up that point. I wanted to ask you a question in regards to this. For a man specifically, well, it can either work either way. But let's say from a man specifically, if a woman does not have her father in her life, how hard of a dynamic is that to get past if you're a man trying to date someone's daughter and she may not have known like her father and didn't really necessarily have that father figure in her life?
Wow, that's a good question. My wife actually said to me after we had gotten married and we had been together for a while that she did not realize that the absence of her father was a huge difference for our marriage because she only saw her mother as the role model. She didn't see the father figure in the house. So it's hard to know how to love a man when you've never seen it modeled in front of you. And so here's an example. When I was growing up, my aunt and her husband was very, traditional family. So when we used to go, my aunt used to cook dinner for her husband while he was gone to work. When he came back, the children was not allowed to touch anything until Daddy ate, And so, but when I got married and I start thinking that my wife was going to cook dinner, and by the time I got home, all the kids had eaten, I was eating the leftovers that was left. I had an attitude because I was thinking that Daddy was supposed to eat first. And daddy didn't eat first because everybody else ate first because, again, that was not modeled. I'm not saying that's the only way.
Right.
I'm saying that's a model that was in front of me that I expected to see and expected to have when I got married, and it was not the case. So sometimes when a woman does not have it modeled in front of her, she does not know what it takes to take care of a man. And I'm not saying that's every woman before you all, blast us. But it is a part that if it haven't been modeled in front of you, you do not know necessarily how to do it.
Okay, now does that work vice versa towards a man? If a woman has a man that, which I know is not usually the norm, but if a woman is looking at a man that she likes and he never had a mother figure or her mother in his life, do you know, or do you feel like that can be the same way?
Absolutely, it goes both ways. Depending upon how your mother is, if you had a mother that's out of the house all the time, and working, and is not doing things, or not a mother around the house, a home mother. You see a woman's position in the house differently, and so it works both ways. You only can do what's been modeled in front of you, or what has been the example. There's three ways that a person gains information. They gain information from their parents. If your mother liked greens, 9 times out of 10 you like greens. If she hate okra, you hate okra. If you also learn it from your experience. If you experience something, then that information comes down, and then you learn it from your environment. So if you have your family, bad experiences, bad environment, you're going to make bad choices.
Okay. Now, another question I definitely wanted to get into, and a lot of people don't know, and like you said, they don't know what exactly a blended family is. But so can you please explain to the audience what exactly is a blended family?
Well, in the 70s, I write in the book, What is a Blended Family? There's a story of a lovely lady who had 3 children of her own. They were all living together, yet they were all alone till this one day when this woman met this fellow. It's called the Brady Bunch. It's when you have children on one hand and another person has children. The man has children, and you all come to become one family. You're blending that family together. That's a blended family. And it could also be that a man cannot have any children, but a woman can have children. Or it could be a woman have no children, but the man have children. If there's children involved in your life before you say I do, you are in a blended family.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind me asking, I wanted to start with I understand that, of course, how long have you been currently married to your current wife?
I've been married to my current wife over 23 years now.
Okay. And I understand that you were married previously.
I was married previously, yes.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind me asking, what led to that first marriage not working out?
Immaturity. I got married when I was 18 years old. I got married when I was 18 years old because I came from a broken home. My family divorced. My mom divorced when I was 13, and my mom and dad did, and they left and went the separate ways. And when they did, I ended up kind of raising myself. I talk about this in my book a little bit. And so at 18 years old, I'm out on my own, and I probably got married because I just didn't know what else to do. I didn't have any role models in front of me at that time. I had them in church, but I mean, you're in church for what, 2 hours,
roughly,
so
right.
3 hours in a week or whatever. So I did not get an opportunity to be with them to guide me in those early stages of my life.
Okay.
And so from there, when I got married at 18 years old, and things start happening, and I didn't have the proper counsel to work it out.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking again, what led to that final breaking point where it's just like, this is not going to go out, this is not going to work out, I need to go ahead and move forward with? Well,
we had such a bad communication, didn't know how to communicate. Finances, we were young, work, finances, dollars, money. And I remember sharing with my wife at the time that we needed to go seek counseling. And she refused to seek counseling, and I said at that moment that if we didn't get counseling, then I couldn't stay in the marriage. And then we broke apart, And after we broke apart, then other things start happening outside of us breaking apart because we're young and all of the above. And so what we really separated from wasn't really the reason why we got divorced. It was the other things that happened after we separated
Gotcha.
that made it more difficult to get back together.
Okay. And in regards to that, how difficult was that process, especially with children involved? How was it going through that process of getting divorced and explaining to your children that, all right, this is what mommy and I are going to do? How was that process?
Devastating.
Okay.
Devastating. I think divorce is one of the most devastating things that happen to our children, although when our children are in it, they don't realize it.
Right.
While we're going through the process, they feel they're okay. But we are still seeing residual effects from our children, we believe, that was a result of our divorce, result of my mother and dad's divorce. I had a lot of insecurity. I wanted people to like me. But all of that came from the divorce.
Right.
And in fact, me and my wife we both agreed that if we could have gone back, and we have an incredible marriage. We love each other. We enjoy being with each other. But we said if we could go back, we would not do the divorce. We would stick it out until our children was born.
Okay. Now, I want
or not born, but grown.
Gotcha. Now, you kind of dispelled the myth, and I want you to delve just a little bit deeper into that, because there's this myth that we as men don't feel or don't have any emotion compared to women. So, in regards to that, from a firsthand experience, you could definitely say, and forgive me if I'm wrong for anybody out there, you could definitely say that it's as emotional heavy on us as men as it is for a woman. Would that be correct?
Well, I could say it was emotionally heavy on me. I can't speak for every man, but it was, when the Bible talks about the two becoming one flesh, that's what happens in marriage. The two becomes one flesh. When you get a divorce, it's the tearing away of the flesh. And when you tear away the flesh, that hurts. That's very difficult. That's not an easy. It took easily, I would say, 2 years to be able to function in a proper way for me after getting a divorce.
Okay. And let me ask briefly, real quick, is there, in terms of time frame, is there like a time frame that you feel specifically, or is it on a case-by-case basis where you feel like, okay, the divorce is final, now I can go back and start dating again?
I adamantly say that you need to give yourself at least a year and to start dating. You should not get married at least for 2 years. I thoroughly believe that. You cannot emotionally bounce back from a relationship that is a true relationship in 6 months or 2 months. My opinion. I know there's people that do and say that's fine, but those are bounce backs to me. You need time to heal.
All right. And again, y'all, we'll be right back with more with Pastor Jerry Q. Perry's on WJHM 102jams.com. Did I cut it too short? Okay.
You cut 20, and then you cut. You just cut 10.
Oh, I thought we was at 10.
No, just 20.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll fix it.
HM 102jams.com.
Fix it in the edit. Emotionally bounce. Emotionally bounce back from a relationship